If you're bad with money, it will always evade you, but if you're good at it, you'll never really have to worry about it too much. This is a video I've wanted to make for a while. This is the journey and how you can get to financial freedom starting from zero. I've designed this video for someone who has no financial literacy, so this is basically available to anyone. You don't need to understand any fancy jargon or anything like that. I'm going to explain everything like you're a baby. You see, knowing your own money situation and how you can make your money make you more money is one of the most powerful skills to ever learn. And I remember when I was younger, I wanted to be financially free, and this was one of the biggest things. I've always wondered, how do you actually get that? What does the journey and the path look like? And I've found attempting this journey, there are two main paths you can take. So in this video, I want to break those paths down and show you exactly what you need to be doing and why you need to be doing those things in terms of being financially free. I want you to do extremely well financially, just like I wanted to do when I was younger. Now, to do that, you need to understand how you're going to get from zero to where you want to be. And what I've seen is there's two main paths, and it also depends on how far your definition of rich is. It depends on what your definition of rich is. If it's 100 grand, then your path looks very different to someone who's worth 10 million. So initially, when I got started out on my journey, I was starting with the regular personal finance advice, which was basically make money and then save money, invest it, and over a long enough period of time, you'll become wealthy. And this isn't wrong. This is 100% correct. You can do this, and compound interest is a wonderful thing. And if you can start early enough and put enough money away early enough, you'll never really have to worry about money ever again. See, the problem is, if you're starting from zero, I wish someone had told me this when I was younger, when you're starting from zero, you have no momentum. You have nothing behind you to leverage. So what you need to do for both paths, they start out the same way. You need to start getting some momentum. So that is get a job. Or if you want, you can go down the entrepreneurial route, which is more, you could start flipping stuff, or you could start a business. But the problem is, usually they need like time and money or capital or something to start them up. Whereas a job, although it takes a bit of time and everything, obviously there's no startup capital. So if you're starting from absolutely zero, you can get an interview and start working a job and getting money coming in, and that builds momentum. Now, there's two paths. This is where they splinter off. First path is if your goal is 100 grand or in the 100 grand, like below a million, you can get there by just working a regular job and saving your way and investing your way there. First of all, you will never save your way to wealth. Just make that clear. It's not possible to save your way to wealth. Inflation eats your money way quicker than you can save it. And that's why you have to invest. On both of these paths, you're investing. So what you would do is when you start from zero, you've got no momentum. Now you're stage one, you've got momentum. You've got a job, you've got some money coming in, and you're keeping some of that money separate. So what you do is you've now got that money coming in. You need to personal finance budget this out. So you need to see exactly how much it costs you to live. Try and keep your expenses as low as possible, so that gives you the most amount of money extra. With that extra money, you need to start investing it. Remember, you don't save it. So once you've got that money and you've started budgeting around, I'd recommend you start getting financially literate. So that just basically means understand your credit score, understand what your budget looks like and how much money what's coming in and going out. Also make sure you have a rainy day fund of 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. This will allow you to get a good personal finance buffer around you and make sure that you know exactly what's happening with your own money. Then you need to set your goal of your number. So say it's 100 grand. That is your number. You want to make sure that number is actually within reach in your mind. So you think you can actually achieve it. If you put like 100 million down, your brain just doesn't think that that's a number you can achieve. But if you think 100 million is too low and you need to bump it up, then bump it up. That's for you. What I'd also recommend you do is with that big number, so say it's 100 grand, we want to break this down into smaller goals. That's your long-term goal of getting to 100 grand. But you want to put in extra incentives and smaller goals as shorter goals. So things like, I want to save in the next 5 months, I want to save 10 grand. And with that extra money that you've got now, you can then invest. And basically, if you use compound interest calculators, you can see how much money you need to invest over a certain amount of time to get to your number. So path number one is you start from zero, you start making some money. With that money, you siphon a bit of it off, and that money gets invested. And it's in low cost and low risk investment. So things like the S&P 500, which on average will give you 8% after inflation year over year. Now, this path 1000% works and is most probable to work. Past performance doesn't indicate future success, but the S&P has returned about 8% every year for the last 100 years over on an average. So typically it will probably help and do the same for you over the next 100 years. This is more of the safe and secure and almost guaranteed way. Nothing's guaranteed in life, but it's almost guaranteed. This is leveraging the thing of compound interest and time. It's going to take you a long time to get there. If you do any calculation or any math, you'll realize compound interest does take a while to kick in. And compound interest works better when you have bigger numbers. 2% on $100, no one really cares, but 2% on $100,000 is very different. Now, this is where option 2 kind of comes in here. And this is one that I wish someone had told me about a little bit earlier. You see, what I'm explaining here is basically you get an income. With that earned income, you siphon a bit of it off and you invest that into the market and you start getting your way to that number that you want to achieve. But there is a different strategy. It's a little bit more risky, but it can return more, obviously more risk and more reward. The second strategy is with that money that you've siphoned off, it's the same up until that point, but the money you siphon off, instead of putting that into the stock market or putting that into an ETF or something like that, what you do is you take that money and you invest in yourself and in your own skills and development. Now, this is a bit of a newer kind of way of thinking, but this is instead of investing in the asset of the stock market, you're investing in yourself, making yourself the asset. Now, a lot of people will do this, and that's why a lot of millionaires, if you stripped all of their money away tomorrow, they would be able to make $1 million again. It's because they have the knowledge of how to make $1 million. You see, what you're doing is you're buying your ability to make money there. So, say you buy the skill of, I don't know, Mandarin Chinese. You're buying that skill. You're then able to speak that language, and from that, you are inherently more valuable as a person, and that's something you can't get taken away from you. If you filed for bankruptcy, you'd still have that skill. What the path number 2 is you take that money and you invest in workshops and seminars and skills like that build yourself and your own knowledge. And then from there, you can start leveraging that and getting more money for your time. You are more valuable, and therefore people will pay you more. And you can also learn skills that help you with entrepreneurial routes, things like, copywriting and sales. You can also learn tax accounting and stuff like that. If you can build skills, you'll be more valuable and you'll earn more money. So what we're doing here is basically trading some of the money we were investing and we're betting on ourselves instead. And that our capacity to earn goes up. So instead of you only being able to earn 50 grand a year, now with all of these skills you've built over the last 4 or 5 years, you can now earn 10 grand a month. And like I said, compound interest works better on larger numbers. So that large number that you're bringing in and you're able to stash away more of is going to compound quicker and harder for you. However, this is more risk. A lot of people don't realize, but what if you don't succeed, or you learn these skills but you're not that valuable or not that good at producing them in the market? If you're not that good at actually producing and making something and making yourself more valuable, you probably would have been better off just investing the money anyway. And again, this depends on your goal. If you're trying to get to $10 million, it's really hard to save your way and invest your way there. It's almost impossible. Unless you're on a massive salary, it's not going to happen. But if you can build up your earning potential and your earning income, you can keep more money and invest more money, and therefore that grows at a higher rate. Another thing with this as well is when you decrease your expenses, you can only decrease your expenses to 0, but you can increase your income infinitely. So it's probably a better idea to leverage that more. If you're not the entrepreneurial type, I still think it would be a good idea in your spare time to try and generate some more money if your goal is quite large. So if your goal is more than $100,000 in the short term, then you're going to need to start leveraging something else to bring your income up. And this can be loads of little things. It can be like driving for Deliveroo or Uber Eats. You could do overtime at your job. You could start flipping stuff on eBay. You could start an Amazon business. You could do drop shipping. There's loads of different things. Now, some of these will take more money and a bit more time and stuff like that. But if you're willing to use those things and use those resources into this, it could return more than what you put in. You want more money coming out of your income streams and building your income up so that you can then invest more. If you want to be financially free, you need to start getting momentum. And the way to do that is to start getting a job, using that leverage that you've just gotten now, and start moving it either into an entrepreneurial route or moving it into the markets. I cannot stress this enough. You can't save your way there. I wish someone had told me this earlier on. It's not going to happen. You can't save your way to wealth. Now, for some people, the entrepreneurial route doesn't really speak to them, and also the risk is not worth the reward there. They would rather get there eventually and get there definitely than maybe never get there at all. But for some people, especially for younger people, it will make more sense for you to invest in your skills because those can stick with you for your entire career and your entire life. Say I waved a wand and you were an accountant tomorrow. Your earning potential for the rest of your life would go up significantly. You bought the skill once, so say you bought it, doesn't work like this, but let's say you did buy an accountancy course and you went through it all and then you're a certified accountant. If you did that and it cost you $1,000, let's say, but you're earning the rest of your life is now $10,000 a year more. That is such a good trade and you should take that every time. Problem is that those skills aren't guaranteed to get you that money. They could potentially, but they also couldn't. Regardless, though, if you're starting from 0, there's a couple of things you need to do. First of all, get momentum. Second of all, realize that your money needs to be kept with you. It's not how much you earn, it's how much you keep. Once you've got that money unkept, you can decide whether you want to invest that and get there slowly but steadily, or you can start investing in yourself. After you've got some of this money behind you, you'll need to realize that most of your money is going to make you money at the back end. After you get your first 100 grand, the compound interest really starts to kick in. It's all about momentum. Going from 0 to 1 is the hardest. If you want to get to 100 grand or a million or whatever it is, the first 100 grand or the first million or the first 10 grand is the hardest. Your money can start making you more money, but that only works if you have a large enough amount that it can start trickling in a little bit. I'd highly recommend you watch the video I did here, which is on your first 100 grand and why it's so important to actually get to this figure so that you can start taking advantage of compound interest. So watch that video now.